What is going on, everybody? It is Texas Ohio State week. Jason and I, we have made it here, Jason, and only a few days away. So make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Jason, I started thinking, and I've been thinking about this game for weeks, months, but I started thinking about it this week as relates to you. And
I'm flattered. Thank you.
Huh?
I said I'm flattered. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I didn't think I was thinking about you as a person. I was thinking about you on how you contribute to the show.
Okay.
We'll talk about Texas State and the family and all those kind of things in a moment, right? But I found it really interesting, Jason, because there are some parallels with as relates to Texas and Ohio State, as relates to a recruiting standpoint. And there are some parallels as we start going into this big time matchup when you start thinking about five stars, right? And so we'll get into, and I want to, there's the way I want to kind of start with it, but we'll get into, there were some battles. You know, Ohio State has been kind of a little pesky, kind of a nemesis at times when it comes to some of these battles that they've had with Texas and getting some recruits. So I want to start though, Jason. Let's start with the obvious, okay? Because you said something the other week that was really interesting that maybe an average person may not have even remembered, which was that there was a time where Texas was recruiting Julian Sayin, who ends up being the starting quarterback at Ohio State, who will start against Texas. And then, of course, Arch comes in. Give us the breakdown, Jason, of what that looks like, because Sark mentioned it the other week that they recruited them, and I think that's something that the average person probably didn't know, that there was a possibility that the Ohio State quarterback could have been at Texas at one point.
Yeah, I'd say probability on where. I mean, Texas was recruiting Julian Sayin very aggressively, as was just about every school in the country. He was, top one-ish, two-ish quarterback in the country in his class, but he was the year behind Arch Manning. Julian Sayin made multiple visits to Austin. He was one of those dudes, when you talk to him, he was very open, right? Wasn't full of games and like trying to drum up a bunch of stupid mystery around his recruitment. He was a real straight shooter. So when I would talk to Julian Sayin, I mean, it was like, Texas is probably his team to beat. I mean, Alabama was in there. Ohio State. Trying to think. Pretty much every school in the country wanted him, but there were two or three, maybe four, that were legitimate contenders. And I think Texas was at the top of that list. And when it started looking like Arch Manning was going to wind up at Texas, I remember Julian told me, and I should have done it before the show. It'd take me a minute, but I could go back through my notes. But he told me, like, hey, if Texas gets Arch Manning, I'm probably cutting Texas out of my list. Which makes sense. It wasn't him just being like petty or sassy or anything like that. It's just like, dude, it's a smart business decision. They get Arch Manning, I'm not coming in the year right behind Arch Manning. So Texas gets Arch Manning, of course, and true to his word, Julian Sayin pretty much dropped Texas very respectfully. He was like, hey, this is just not what's going to work for me. Texas goes out and gets Trey Owens instead, a guy who's in state, a guy who just wanted to be a Longhorn come hell or high water. So, that one made a lot more sense. So Julian Sayin winds up dropping Texas because Texas gets Arch Manning, goes to Alabama.
When you say get, you mean a verbal commitment.
Verbal commitment, yeah, verbal commitment. And like I said, Sayin had a whole year after that to go through his recruitment, but he winds up signing with Alabama. As fate would have it, he transfers to Ohio State, and now here he and Arch Manning are matched up against each other. And I know Julian Sayin won't get asked that question this week, because people in Ohio State aren't going to ask him, and it's not going to get asked post game. But I would love to hear like what his thoughts on that. Like, dude, have you processed that? Like, you could have been on the other side of this equation if things had fallen. Basically, if Arch Manning hadn't gone to Texas. So, and I'm looking on our, like, I looked at the. Arch was the number one quarterback in his class.
Yeah.
He was the number one player in the country when you look at the consensus rating. On3 actually had him the number 3 player in the country. ESPN, I remember at the very end, they dropped him down to number 5. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, that's like blasphemous. What? Arch Manning, number 5 in the country. Well, Julian Sayin, 24/7 had him the lowest at number 20. in their national rankings, and I'm not talking quarterback, I'm talking overall players, right? On 3 had him number 5, ESPN number 9, Rivals number 6 in the country. So, I mean, we all know Arch Manning. Everybody in the country knows about Arch Manning, right? Julian Sayin was right there in that ballpark in terms of that caliber of prospect. So this weekend is going to be really fascinating. I keep waiting to see if that storyline is going to come up, like maybe pregame, if ESPN or somebody's going to talk about the quarterback battle and how Julian Sayin nearly wound up at Texas. I haven't seen it being talked about yet, but it was a very real thing for a while there.
Jason, do this for me, because he was a 5-star, right? I mean, how many other quarterbacks from his class were ranked ahead of Sayin? Like, if you can do that research, I can filibuster for you for a second. You find whichever one you want to lean on. But I'm kind of curious.
The only one who was ranked above him onward, I'm going by the industry rankings for Rivals. Okay. Actually, Texas will play him. It's DJ Lagway at Florida. Wow. Was ranked above him. He was the number 1. And then Dylan Raiola was the number 3 quarterback, another name that people know. So, 3 pretty heavy hitters there. If you look at what Lagway and Raiola both played and started as freshmen, and Sayin is getting his crack this weekend. So, and that tells you what kind of company he kept in terms of the recruiting rankings. And he was a big-time prospect.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I wanted to make sure we gave people some of that background on him, just because, again, for some, this is the first time they're hearing his name. And, it's like, well, yes, you may know who Will Howard was, but there's this other guy who's come in and was extremely successful. So it's kind of, so Arch commits in that summer of Julian's senior year, correct? And so is that math adding up? So Arch's
it would have been, I think, Julian's junior year, I believe.
But Arch didn't commit as a sophomore. You said he was a year ahead of him.
But Arch was a senior, I think, and Julian was a junior. Arch committed the summer going into a senior year, so it would have been the summer going into Julian's junior year. I believe that would be right.
So now, give me the interesting part of this, Jason, being such a small world. It's fascinating that Arch, as a 5-star, I mean, essentially, he's making his first road start of his career versus Ohio State, but it's his first road start of his career. And Julian Sayin is basically having his start here. Give me the irony and the thought process of these 2 5-stars going head-to-head on this upcoming Saturday, because, gosh, it is a small world, and who knew that, all roads would – they all be connected to Sark in some way.
Yeah, like you mentioned it. I mean, Sark mentioned he mentioned it on Monday at the press conference, and I think he mentioned it last week or something about how aggressively they recruited Julian Sayin, and the arm talent he has, and he quick release, and he processes things quickly too. So, it's an intriguing, to me, being a recruiting guy. It's an extremely intriguing storyline. Like I said, I don't know if national media will pick it up. We'll see. But, Arch making his first road start. I mean, in a weird kind of way, this almost feels like Arch's first start to me. And I know it's not. I mean, obviously he started a couple games when Quinn got hurt, but it kind of does, because this is his first real start where this is his team. Okay. I mean, he is the unquestioned leader of this team. I think it's his team. He is the face of the Texas franchise right now. So in a weird way, it kind of feels like his first start. Julian Sayin, it is his first start. He's thrown 12 career passes as a backup last year. So, I'm pretty sure we know what we're going to get from Arch Manning, right? We think he's going to be really, really good, but it's not a 100% written in stone given that Arch Manning is going to be a Heisman candidate. It's just not. I mean, we don't know. We need to see him go through a full season before we can real fully evaluate him. But we feel pretty good about knowing what we got and what we're going to see from Arch. I don't know what we're going to see from Julian Sayin, especially in week 1, especially against what we think is going to be one of the best defenses in the country. Is he going to come out and struggle, Almar, and turn the ball over multiple times? Is he going to throw for 120 yards? Maybe. Is he going to come out and shred the Texas defense with these weapons he's got all around him and throw for somewhere around, maybe upwards of 300 yards? Maybe. Somewhere in between. Obviously, it's possible. So I have no idea what to expect from Julian Sayin. all I know is he was considered a tremendous prospect. So I think Texas fans are looking at this like, oh, wait, he's a first-time starter. He's a new guy. He hasn't played. And just kind of assuming Texas is going to have the upper hand there. And I think Texas will have the upper hand at quarterback, but it's not a given, man. This guy was a tremendous prospect, highly touted, highly regarded. I mean, look, Texas wanted him, Alabama, Ohio State all wanted him. So there was a reason. He's one of the best in the country. So it's just interesting how these stories kind of are intertwined, and now they're all connecting in Columbus on Saturday.
You know, it's also interesting that this story doesn't necessarily connect this portion of it, but it's really fascinating. Jeremiah Smith, as we know, I mean, that dude's all world, right? I mean, there's no denying that dude. I mean, if he could come out after this season, he might be a top 5 pick, right? I mean, he's just that good.
Might be the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I mean, I read something that said before, Jason, that if he could have came out last year, he would have definitely been a first rounder and probably in the top 5, top 10, right? So, but he's insane. He has a 5-star, is in the same class with Ryan Wingo, who obviously had to wait his turn last year, who's also in the same class with Ryan Williams, Jason, who we classified. But, that stud there at Alabama, I'm just, Wingo and Ryan Williams are probably more closely correlated, more so than Wingo and Jeremiah Smith. But when we start talking about 5-stars in this game, it's hard to look past some of the receivers in this game, at least those two for me, Jason.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I love Ryan Wingo, right? I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he's going to have a breakout year. He was really good last year. I think he's an awesome kid too, right? You've probably gotten to know him a little bit, but Sark mentioned him on Monday. Just said, dude, that dude just works at it every day. I mean, it's not, he has natural gifts, but he also works at it every day. I love Ryan Wingo. Jeremiah Smith's on another level, dude. I mean, look, if I look at Jeremiah Smith's recruiting profile, this is the national rankings. On 3, number 1 in the country. 24/7, number 1 in the overall in the country. Rivals, the old rivals, number 1 player in the country. ESPN with their quirky rankings, number 4 in the country. So I mean, this dude was almost a consensus top player in the country. Ryan Wingo was 92nd per On 3, 32nd per 24/7, 33 for ESPN, 48th by Rivals. So as prospects, I mean, they were different level players, but nobody, I mean, you're not going to find many who match up to that profile that Jeremiah Smith had coming out of high school. So, I don't have it in front. What did he go for, like 1,300 yards last year as a true freshman receiving, I think?
What's that? Yeah, he went for 15 with 15 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous, dude. I mean, that guy as a true freshman on a national championship winning team. So, yeah, I mean, but if you're asking me, Anwar, I mean, Jeremiah Smith was in a level of his own as a prospect. If you're asking me who's going to have the more productive day on Saturday, him or Ryan Wingo, I might lean Ryan Wingo, right?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I think Texas, I mean, we saw what Texas did. They were able to take Jeremiah Smith out of the game last year. Will they be able to do it again this year? Probably not to that level. They're not going to hold him to 1 catch, but they might be able to take him out of the game a little bit. I think Texas is going to throw the ball more. I think Arch and Wingo have that connection. I don't know if Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith have that locked in connection yet. I think Texas does with Arch and Wingo. So, Jeremiah Smith is going to be a top 5 pick. You mentioned, I mean, depending on who else is available, that dude might be the number 1 pick when he comes out in a couple of years. But if you're asking me this Saturday, I'm not going to be surprised if we look at the box score and we're talking post game. We're like, holy crap, Ryan Wingo outproduced Jeremiah Smith in this game.
There's no way you think Jeremiah Smith has 1 catch for 3 yards in this game.
If that's a prize picks entry, I'm taking the more on ours.
All right. I mean, I know what happened in the playoffs, and that's one of those things that I probably need to go back and just rewatch that and see what the hell happened. And I don't know, did Jeremiah have his foot amputated before the game and we just didn't know about it, right? I'm just there has to be. I know this probably Texas defensive players are like, that's disrespectful, but it's hard to keep a guy like that down again. So
I kind of forgotten about. I mean, I remember the stat and I'm sure we talked about it at length after the game on our post game show. But like, I'm like you, I almost need to go rewatch the game. Like, how the hell was that possible? Like, how did they do that?
You know what it's like to me. You know what it's like to me, Jason. You ever see like the highlights, and they'll show like this high school team beat a team like 102 to like 2 or something like that. Like you ever see something that's 106 to like 3? I'm always fascinated how the other team got the 2 or the 3. I don't care about the 100. Like I want to do a documentary. No one's steal my idea. I want to do a documentary about teams that get blown out. And I want to talk about the 1 point that they scored and just give me the blow by blow where like you threw it up there like Carlton, right? And you were just hoping it would go in and like all that.
So the 2 is probably, if it's 2 points, it's probably the other team's punter ran out of the back of the end zone or something. Or if it's a field goal, it's like the other team muffed a punt. And on first down, the coach is like, let's just go ahead and kick the field goal right now before you like lose yardage and get out of field goal range. So true story, Almar, when I was in middle school playing quarterback, we were playing some team, I don't remember, and they were beating the crap out of us so badly. Their coach started punting he was trying to run out the clock, and they still just kept getting first downs and touchdowns. They started punting on like second and third downs to us so that they wouldn't score 100 points probably. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, Jason, sidebar for a second. Hey, Tyler, I see you in the chat. I know you're an Ohio State fan. You're really enthusiastic, and I like that enthusiasm. Ease up a little bit here. Like, remember it's a Longhorn channel. Look, I want you to comment this and that. But, Tyler, just ease. I don't want to put you in timeouts or block you, anything like that. We try to be mature here. So, listen, all you're getting is a lot of respect for Ohio State. So, chill out and enjoy the show. There's a lot of good conversation going on. Okay. So then give me the backdrop on the recruitment of Wingo, because if I remember, you got to help me. It's been a while. Wingo was that was last year. That comes on the heels of Micah Hudson, correct? Was that after they miss out on Hudson and the sky was falling? And then they later get Wingo. Was that the following? I'm getting a lot of my years confused, because then it's like there was a Corian Moore meltdown, but then they responded. So what year was that as far as Wingo is concerned?
Yeah, I should remember those things, but like I'm always amazed how Ketchum can recall it. Hey, back in 2007, this obscure day happened. Like, how the hell do you remember that? So Micah Hudson, because he started at Tech, went to A&M, of course, is back at Tech. So yes, Wingo was a year behind him. So Wingo was a year behind Micah, right? But basically, I mean, Wingo was a guy
because all I remember, it seems like we had a meltdown.
The Corian was a year behind Wingo, yeah.
We have an Evan Stewart meltdown, and a Corian meltdown, right? I can go year by year as far as how the meltdowns are concerned, and I just felt like Texas missed out on one. Then all of a sudden, this is what happened. I'm going to go look up 2024.
Yeah, DeCorian is a true freshman this year, so he was the year behind Wingo. But Wingo was he was Texas's top receiver target in that class, and it really came down to Texas and Missouri. He's from the St. Louis area, so Missouri was a strong player there. Really early on, people were like, "Oh, Texas," because nobody was taking Missouri seriously. Well, then Missouri kind of picked up steam in Ryan Wingo's recruitment, and everybody was thinking it was going to be Missouri. I mean, everybody was reporting, hey, it's probably going to be Missouri. Well, we got word, I don't remember when he actually committed, but I got word from a source in Missouri, like saying it's October he committed. So fairly late in the process.
By the way, Micah was that year, by the way.
Micah was, okay. So I got word kind of, a few weeks before he committed, Ryan Wingo, that, hey, there's a lot of Texas rumblings in that St. Louis area. Found out it was going to be Texas. That obviously the day he committed was big. But then if you remember on National Signing Day, all these kids are sending in their letters of intent at 7 a.m. or whatever. Ryan Wingo's was really late. Like it came in like several hours after everybody else's, and people were panicking. People at Texas fans were panicking, and then rumors started to fly that, hey, Missouri might have made a late run and tried to flip him.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to someone close to Wingo, and I remember I reported this. I'm like, and they were like, "Nope, dude, he's just still asleep. He just hasn't woken up yet." So I reported that, like, "Hey, he's signing with Texas. He just is asleep." And sure enough, man, he woke up at 10 o'clock or whatever and signed his letter of intent with Texas. But it really was a highly contested back and forth between Texas and Missouri. And there was a time when people thought he would stay in state and go to Missouri, and take the Luther Burden path. I mean, Luther Burden was doing good things with Missouri at that point, but obviously signed with Texas. When he missed a couple practices at the beginning of fall camp due to dehydration, there were stupid internet rumors. Oh, he's not happy. He wants more NIL money. He wants to go back to Missouri. Dude, I checked with a couple sources on that, and they were like, that's the biggest crock of BS ever. Like, that dude loves it at Texas. Ryan Wingo loves being a Longhorn. So, but yeah, that was a huge win for Texas to get him away from Missouri. It's not often we talk about Texas and Missouri going head to head for an elite recruit, but that was the case with that one.
It's interesting too. Yeah, you're right. And there's a couple other ones, Jason, I just kind of want to break down a little bit because, like I said, it's not Texas versus Ohio State in recruiting quite often, right? We don't see that as many some of the other battles that you might see, like the A&Ms, maybe some Alabamas. Georgia has been kind of a thing that, recently, as far as you're going head-to-head against guys. You don't see it as often, but we have seen Texas come recruit against Ohio State, and Ohio State's been a little bit of a thorn, right? I mean, Garrett Wilson, it goes back to that, where they take a kid out of the Austin backyard, and people can say what they want to say, and there's been many ways that people have explained it. But you go and see even last year, Devin Sanchez was a guy that Texas wanted. Riley Pettijohn was another guy that he wanted. Pettijohn, you and I were talking beforehand. He wasn't necessarily. He was a 5-star by one ranking company, correct? Riley Pettijohn.
Rivals had him as a 5-star. Everybody else was a high 4-star. Right.
Okay. Well, all it takes is one, right? It doesn't listen. If I'm a high school recruit and Sukamel ranking says I'm a 5-star, then guess what? I'm a 5-star.
That's
right?
going on your Twitter profile, right?
Yeah. Exactly. I'm a 5-star. Give me my NIL money. I'm curious, Jason. For years, one of the things that Texas needed was the problems that they had was like the SEC and recruiting against SEC programs, right? And it really helped when Texas got into the SEC, or people knew they were going to go to SEC, where now all of a sudden you couldn't hang that over someone's head. Oh man, you're going to go to the Big 12, like that conference sucks. They don't produce offensive linemen or defensive linemen or anything like that. Does Texas need to knock off Ohio State? And will that have any bearings with some of these recruits and guys that they're recruiting against? That will it help to just to say, hey, you know what? I know you're thinking about going there, but head to head, we beat this team in 2025.
I don't know that Texas needs it, but it sure as hell wouldn't hurt, right? Especially you're talking about Riley Pettijohn, especially if the Texas defense shows up like we expect it to. And hey, it's not just the big physical Big Ten in Ohio State. Like, we went into their house and manhandled them. Yeah, you can sell that to defensive linemen and linebackers, excuse me, in the state of Texas. You're right in what you said, that Texas and Ohio State don't go head to head a ton. I mean, they're usually involved on some of the same guys because they both recruit the best of the best. But, when it truly comes down to a battle between those two, but when it usually happens, it's big time players. I mean, you mentioned Garrett Wilson, obviously Pettijohn, Baron Browning was a linebacker back several years ago, was a 5-star, I think 5-star linebacker. So they're usually big battles. I mean, Devin Sanchez you talked about. I mean, but Pettijohn was interesting because everybody thought that dude was going to Texas. He would show up with Texas backpacks all over the place at different camps and things. And I remember seeing Riley Pettijohn at the Rivals 5-star, and this was in Jacksonville that year. And I think he had the Texas backpack on. And I'm talking to him, kind of assuming he's going to commit to Texas later that summer. And
Uh-huh.
he told me off the record, he goes, "No, it ain't Texas." In fact, Texas wasn't even a second choice. I think USC was probably the second choice. So he just had his heart set on Ohio State, and that's when word kind of started to shift. Frankly, because he told us off the record, but word started to shift from the Texas narrative to, "Hey, don't sleep on Ohio State." So, and that was a big win. I don't know how much he's going to play. I've heard his name mentioned a little bit for Ohio State, but if he's in Austin right now, Anwar, I'm not going to say he's starting, but I promise you, he's in that rotation and playing quite a bit day one. So, those are the caliber of players. And listen, that's a good thing to have. If you're going head-to-head recruiting against Ohio State, though, that's where you want to be, man, because that means you're recruiting the best of the best. I mean, Ohio State, probably along with Georgia and now Texas, probably the best recruiting programs in the country. I mean, Alabama has been and is still in that realm as well. But if you're going head to head and sometimes losing guys to Ohio State, that's okay. I mean, listen, Ohio State wants Diabell, right? I mean, Texas has won their share of the Dalen McCutcheon. They wanted Dalen McCutcheon, who's now at Texas and doing good things as a true freshman. So those are the guys you want to be recruiting against, and that was the case certainly with Riley Pettijohn. We mentioned a couple others in this group too. So, but yeah, Riley Pettijohn's a fantastic player. He was a 5-star by Rivals. And that was a tough loss for Texas in that recruiting cycle.
Did he return your phone calls? That's the one thing that counts the most to you, Jason.
Riley wasn't great. He would text every once in a while. He wasn't great, but very. I mean, I've talked to him a bunch and very polite, very respectful, very grounded. I'm a fan of Riley Pettijohn, even though he didn't return my calls.
And I think Devin Sanchez, what's interesting is like one time, I think his mom popped into one of my shows. At one point,
right, yeah.
During the recruitment,
I was on the show with you, and she shot down some rumor of him coming to a Texas game or something, right?
Yeah, that's what it was, right? Yes.
And Devin, I talked to Devin like once because he came up like when he was like a freshman or something, came up to a UT junior day, but things never really got that interesting. So I never had a need to get to know Devin Sanchez. So I can't say much about Devin. I do remember his dad was awesome. If I ever needed anything, I'd hit up his dad. His dad's like, yes or no. He would shoot it down or confirm whatever I needed. But I remember that, Almer. I was on the show with you, and his mom popped into the chat and was like, "Nope, we're not going to that game." Yeah, so
it was so random too. I was like, "What?" I'm like,
it was like breaking news.
Yeah. I think you posted something to the board if I'm correct, and I was like, you just never know who's watching, right? You just you just think you're doing the show, and some recruit's mom was like, "What the hell are you guys talking about now? We're not going there." And she actually gave us the itinerary in the chat, which I thought was really cool. Let's fill out the rest, Jason. We talked a lot about, and look, we can go into the Sonny Styles of the world and the CJ Hicks of the world, those former 5-stars as well. But from a Texas perspective, though, let's talk about the Texas side. Let's talk about the Anthony Hills. Let's talk about like the Colin Simmons of the world. Like, give me the Texas side of some of these 5-stars who are going. And again, I've talked about the luxury that they have some 5-stars who they don't have to worry about playing, but like I said, I mentioned Arch, I mentioned Wingo. Give me some of the other firepower that's on the Texas side, though.
Well, in terms of recruiting perspective, Anthony Hill, of course, I don't think I'm sure Ohio State offered him. I mean, he was that caliber player. Ohio State probably offered him. But obviously, he was committed to A&M, of course, flipped to Texas. Is it bad Colin Simmons committed so early, Anwar?
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't remember. Like, why am I drawing a blank on who the main competition was for Colin? I had to go back and look at my stories in my recruiting profile for Colin. But, Texas obviously, both these rosters, like, Ketch does his super blue chip breakdowns. Both these rosters are, littered with 5-stars. I say littered, with 5-star players. And, most of them, Brandon Baker is going to be starting at right tackle. He was a 5-star by some services. So most of those dudes are going to be guys that are having an impact on this game, right? We certainly believe Ant Hill and Colin Simmons will have major impact on this game on Saturday, right? The quarterbacks are clearly going to have impacts. The receivers are going to have impacts. So, Texas, you look at Ohio State's roster, and we've talked about them, and we've talked about Jeremiah Smith being the #1 player in the country, and Julian Sayin was a consensus top 10 player in the country. That's a great roster Ohio State has. But this Texas roster stacks up with them. Yeah, they can go toe-to-toe with anybody. So Texas will bring its own 5-star talent. We expect those dudes to make plays, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun on Saturday.
Yeah, just real quick. Look, I know we'll have the modcast today, and we'll have all kinds of stuff. But I just real quick, give me your early thoughts on this game. I'm not asking for predictions. We'll do a prediction show. We got a lot of shows left, right, Jason? So just give me your early thoughts, on this matchup.
Yeah, you know what? I in my 3-2-1 I posted last night, I actually predicted every game on the Texas schedule. Okay, win loss, whatever. I've got Texas winning this game, but I'm a little bit gun shy, and my reason for that, Omar, is one thing. Because Vegas has Ohio State winning this game. And I'm like, oh, shit. I don't like to go against Vegas. But it's only like a 1.5-point spread, right? So you factor in home field advantage. That's almost saying, hey, Texas is maybe a slightly better team on a neutral field. But I'm going with Texas for 2 reasons. Or really, I guess they kind of combine almost one reason. This Texas defense against a first-time starting quarterback, I just can't. And I know Julian Sayin, we've talked about him. We've talked about his recruiting profile and how highly he was thought of. And maybe he goes out and lights things up on Saturday. Okay, right? Maybe so. But I can't pick a first-time starting quarterback going against the #1 team in the country that we think is going to have a tremendous defense. I'm going to give that edge to Texas and Arch Manning over Julian Sayin. Mm-hmm. That's why I think Texas is going to win this game. But man, I think it's going to be one of these games where 1 or 2 plays makes the difference, and it's going to be that close.
Yeah, well, yeah. Then the flip side is you also got a guy making his first start on the road, right, against the defending national champion. So like
behind an offensive line that we don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah, so it literally. That's why I think Vegas pretty much has it as a pick'em game at this moment, Jason. It definitely seems like that. Hey, real quick before you head out of here, Jason, Longhorn fan Edit said he just want to say good morning, Longhorn fan. Texas was by double digits.
I like it, Longhorn football edits. I hope you're right, because that makes my Saturday more enjoyable from a work perspective. I don't have to moderate a message board meltdown, and that makes my Saturday a lot more enjoyable. So hope you're
right. You guys be out at Texas Courthouse again this year?
Yep. Yeah, that's the plan. We'll be there Saturday morning. Yep.
Oh, whew. All right. Well, we'll get into more of that. But Jason and Chad, they're down there at Texas Courthouse usually every Saturday, broadcasting live, doing the post-game show. Eating up good food as I'm eating up press box food. I'm eating hot dogs and everything, and you guys are having truffle fries and everything down over there. So
bad beat bacon. Yeah, man. Come out and join us.
And the very last thing, Jason, before I go, how the kids? You already did move-ins, right? You already did move into Texas State. We're good.
We're good. Actually was back down there last weekend, so we kind of finished up moving in. And then the big news in our family, Anwar, my middle daughter, who is 18, she turned 18 in July. She finally got her driver's license, dude, last week. And the hoops we had to jump through. And I did, put it this way, we drove to Killeen twice last week, and then down to Manchac, way down in South Austin. I'm in Leander. So, it's about 30 minutes down to Manchac each way. We did that trip twice, and we did Killeen twice in a span of 3 days. But we got her that damn license. Now she can drive her ass to school. I don't have to take her to – I'm like, you're a senior in high school. You need to be driving to school. So yesterday was her first day to drive to school, and I didn't notice any dents on the car. So I'm a happy dad.
Wow. Yeah. So wait, why did you – I don't understand. Why did you have to go to all these different places to get a driver's license?
Well, because you cannot hardly get a DPS – appointment. I mean, like in Austin, they're like scheduling like 2 or 3 months out. I'm like, no, we got to get this done. So Killeen just happened to have available appointments. So we went there. And then to get her driving test, there was nothing taking this Austin driving school, basically because they pretty much pass everybody. But there was nothing in the Round Rock or North Austin area. The only one that had a spot available was down way down south, so we had to take her down there to take her actual driving test. And she got
Jason,
a 90,
do they still look? I got young kids, and I haven't been in school in forever. Do they still have driver's ed in high school, or do they not have that?
I don't think so. No, I don't know. It's all like online and like parent talk.
I hear all you parents talking about you taking your kids to driving school. I'm like, they don't have, like, back in my day, it was the coach with short shorts, right?
Yep.
There's always a coach with little short pants, and he'd be the guy that would take you out there, and they had you would drive, but then he would have the steering wheel
and the brake,
and the brake and stuff on his side as well. And you would just go out and drive. Like, that's how it is.
With like two other kids are in the car with you, right?
Like,
yes.
In hindsight, it's like, hey, we're all going to risk our lives together.
Dude, that's like literally, it was the middle school football coach was my driver's ed teacher.
So this is gone. This is not a thing anymore.
No, I think those are totally gone, dude. Everything is like, we did a company called Aceable. I'm sure there's others, but yeah, it's kind of all online or parent taught. And onward, the amount of paper, bike coaching shorts. Yes.
It was the guy.
Dude, the amount of paperwork and shit you have to go through to get a license nowadays. Oh, it's maddening, but whatever. We now have 3. Well, my son's not a teenager anymore, but 3 young teenage young adult drivers. I've got one who's 14 onward, and she's like, I'm getting my license the day I turn 16. I was like, you're damn right you are, because I'm going to force you to, because I'm not doing what I just did with your other sister, driving her ass around until she's 18. I was like, no, you're getting your license when you turn 16. So,
man,
in fact, you can move out of the house and start college when you turn 16.
You guys with teenagers is so fascinating. I'm going to edit this. It's fascinating. I couldn't wait. I got my driver's license the day I turned 16. Bang. I wanted to when I turned 18, I was the first person that was in a club, put my X on my hand. I am there. So my birthday is on December 30th. I remember when I was about to turn 21, Jason. I was outside the club at 11:45 waiting for it to turn midnight so I can get in at 12:01. And at 12:01, I walked in there, and I was on December 29th. And like the kids, that like they don't even leave the house. I don't even know what's going on. It's crazy.
You all get a 12:01, like, give me a beer, like give me a cocktail.
All right.
Hey, my son is 20. He's gonna be 21. God, next month he's gonna be 21. He has a friend who just got his driver's license onward.
That's so crazy.
Kids are so weird these days. But you're right. They don't have to leave the house. Everything, whatever. But yeah, kids are weird, dude. They are. Yeah. So,
all right, man. Go ahead and get out of here, Jason. Jason Zuckerberg. I'm sorry. I had to go down memory lane for me, but there was just so many things I remember as a kid, and as I look at some of these other kids who, I was like, yeah, they don't do stuff like how we used to. We must have just been rowdy and badass kids or something, because these kids are just in the house. They don't go outside. They stay inside. I guess it's all good. All right. Listen, we got Modcast at noon. I think I'm on that show today. Yeah, I'm on the Modcast at noon. So I'll be back in a couple of hours for that. I got some more stuff tomorrow. I got a bunch of stuff. I got to fly out to Columbus. And yeah, man, in this last thing real quick. I had to put Tyler in a timeout. I was trying to be patient with you, Tyler, and I kind of gave you like the little warning shot, like, hey, just chill out. It's all cool, but let me go and do some the horns downs here, man. So I tried to be patient with you. Maybe you can come back tomorrow and just chill out and enjoy the show. You can comment. There's some people, come in. We have opposing fans who watch it. That's cool. You want to come in and say a quick, horns down. All right, cool. But you can't like litter the whole damn chat. Like at that point, it's just being obnoxious. We can't have that. So now it's because you're just too distracted. But Harish, I fly on Friday. Don't be asking so you can try to come and take my stuff, Harish. I got security, and I got nosy neighbors, which is way better than ADT. I live in the burbs. These bugs know everything. I almost cussed. These bugs know everything that I do. They know how my grass is. So don't no jack moves on me. And then yeah, if y'all are going to Money B, I put them in timeout. I don't know. I clicked the button that says put them in a timeout. I don't know how to get them out of timeout. I don't know. I don't know how long it lasts. I'll have to chat GPT it later. Anyway, y'all, let's get out of here. Y'all been great. It's been fantastic. It is a great week of football. And like I said, I'll be back at noon. I loved Arch Manning's answer to my question yesterday. I saw that it went viral. So I was really excited to see that for him. And I love everything. We'll break some of that down a little bit more tomorrow. I got a lot of stuff coming this week, man. I'm super excited. So anyway, you know what I always say, live each day like it was your last. One day it will be. Go out, do something nice for yourself, do something special for yourself, enjoy yourself, because, I mean, you're special, man. Woman, all that, so go out and do something really cool for yourself.